I think the girls outdid the boys.
Yeah, they did. It was one team, they've been like 20 years. 72 to 83.
72 to 83.
172 to 83. Yes. Less than 40 points down.
Tall girl. Once again, we want to recognize the girls basketball state champions. Whereas Manchester Meriwether County Recreation is a partnership between the city and the county to provide recreational opportunities throughout Meriwether County. And whereas the girl basketball is a popular sport with great participation in the Manchester Meriwether County Recreation Program. And whereas Sotrea Trash, Ashley Smith, Ashley Dickerson, and Shamika Hall serves as coaches for the Manchester Meriwether County Recreation Department 12 and under girls team. Whereas the team has the roster of 10 players: Rihanna Abbott, Tajaya Bell, Shamika Harris, Naja Asia, McClure Mahone, Jemiah Martin, Jada McKee, Kenda Pugh, and Ciandra Slayton, and Shemaiah Smith. Whereas the girls won their district tournament and advanced to the Recreation and Park Association State Tournament in Riven County, and whereas the team played and won a total of 4 games by a combination score of 172 to 83, and was crowned as state champions. Go girls, that's great. Whereas the citizens of Meriwether County are proud of the team's performance and the way they have represented our county. Now therefore it be proclaimed that the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners does hereby commend and congratulate the 2019 Manchester Meriwether County Recreation Department 12 and under girls team for their outstanding performance. And it be witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners to affix this 26th day of March in the year of our Lord 2019 as our state champions girl team. Thank you. I'll just give this to them. We may have one of us that I can count out. So, if they do, we know who will win. The girls will win. Okay, everybody look this way, make sure we got everybody in the picture. Miss Beth can't see it.
You want to look like this?
Okay, now I can.
Okay, now I can.
You can see it.
This one's an important one. Slide this way. This little girl right here on the back row, I need you to slide this way just a little bit. Ms. Mary Bray, could you come this way just a little bit? Thank you.
Am I missing someone? Right here. Okay.
See it? No, I won't be. I won't be. I'll stand up a little bit. There you go. Give me those, right? There you go. There you go. That's perfect. Go back. There you go. You look just a little shorter. That's all. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hold on.
That's better. We got it.
Y'all had better smiles. Hello, everyone. Vic wants to share some comments regarding the team.
Quick. First of all, I've been at the rec department for 30 years this April. This is the first girls' championship ever. Oh, yeah. Ever. I want our commissioners to know how well represented we were, of course, on the basketball court, winning games. I want to thank our coaches, our volunteers, and our parents. I have heard nothing but good things about them, and we made Meriwether County look very good, and we're proud of all of them. Good job.
Once again, we want to thank our Manchester Meriwether County Rec Board for doing such a good job with our students and with our young people this year. So once again, we applaud them for their great work.
You could have told me I was moving. I forgot.
Moving on our agenda, our next item is the municipal comments. Oh, that's on the record, so I saw Mayor Glover earlier.
She's over here.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Thank you. Is Doug still here?
Charlotte's left.
I don't see anyone else. I don't want to overlook anyone else. Okay. Our next item is our Constitution officers. We don't have any of our Constitution officers here today. So we'll move on to our next area is our department heads. I do know we have some of them here. All right, Sarah. Bryn, do you have anything? Thank you. Bill? Okay. Thank you. Chief?
No report this time.
No, okay.
Chief.
Kathy? No report, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Did I overlook anyone else? Ms. Jane?
I just want to remind everybody our Great American Cleanup for Keep Meriwether Beautiful is 1 month away, April 27th, and we're looking for volunteers and teams. So if anybody needs any information, I think there's some on the table out here. If not, I'll be glad to share it with you. Hope to see all of you out working picking up trash.
There you go. I picked up some today.
Keith, do you have anything you want to share with us? Okay. Carol McKinney.
Thank you. For quick. One is I want to let everyone know that we now have a new tourism product out there, a Greenville Driving Tour mobile app. So you can go to your App Store or your, I hope I have this right, Google Play Store, and download the mobile app. There is no charge for it. So there are two versions, the Android and the iOS. So I want to thank the Greenville Historical Society and the Greenville Economic Preservation Society and Jack Powell for their work on putting this together. So it's been a very, very good team effort, and we need to get that out there for a long time. So go download that and take a look at all beautiful homes in Greenville. And our tourism office, of course, partnered with them for that. This Friday is our Community Leaders Forum. If y'all maybe hear us there, participate, I think it would be great. We're going to talk about rural health care, which is a very important subject for all of our rural counties, but especially because of our local hospital here and our rehab and specialty services hospital. We'll also be talking about broadband a little bit, and let me tell you what we're going to be talking about and just give you a little advanced information. As you know, the Department of Community Affairs has just rolled out this broadband ready community designation. And I have the paperwork, and I would recommend that we, as a county, proceed with completing this paperwork and becoming so designated as a community broadband ready. The only two big pieces that are required, one is that the broadband need is represented in our comprehensive plan, which it is, and secondly, we have to have an ordinance in place. I've also made copies and sent this out to all of our mayors because there needs to be an ordinance at each municipality. But if the county does its ordinance and the broadband ready paperwork, then we designated as a county. It still won't mean all our cities are, but hopefully they will come on board. So I'm going to give y'all, whoever needs a copy of the ordinance, I know Mr. Lee does.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Hill.
Sorry, where'd I get Lee? There is one.
Yeah.
It's actually Lee on the spot.
I answered Lee.
Okay, well, anyway, y'all would just take one of those, and there, this is mainly for you, of course, but the ordinance looks pretty straightforward. It just talks about the turnaround time and cap on the application fee. And then the designation is extremely simple. You know, I probably could have done that myself if I had the ordinance, but anyway, that will be for you to do too. Now, you may wonder what the advantages are of being a broadband-ready community, because there is no money attached to that at this point, but it does convey to potential service providers that we are welcoming broadband providers, we're welcoming the business, and we want to make it as easy as possible for them. And that becomes especially important now that the legislature has passed the broadband bill allowing EMCs to get into the broadband business, and Diverse Power is very, very interested in working and partnering with Meriwether County. So those are very good developments, and I hope that y'all will proceed with that ordinance. And if you have anything that I can do to assist, I'll be happy to do so. And then the last thing I want to remind you of the April 11 Chamber Annual Membership Meeting, and that will be at Roosevelt on beginning at 5:30. That is Casual Connections, which means you can wear whatever you want to, seeing you're covering major body parts. But anyway, you all have 8 admissions because of your support for the Chamber, so I thank you very much for that, and I look forward to seeing y'all.
Does anyone have any comments or questions? I do want to make a statement regarding that. From the leadership meeting that we attended, Three Rivers was there. So they expressed a desire to work along with us in doing this. So when we talk about the ordinance, because once again, these things can be very time consuming, and with the manpower that we sometimes don't have, are they also willing to work along with the ordinance? Do you know, or Mr. Gay, can we find out what the status of that? Because I know they said that they would be a very active part in that. Can we look into that, or do we know? Okay. All right.
They will be glad, I'm sure, to talk to you.
I know that's one of the services they have. I'm not positive, and I'll get back to get this information. I did receive some information from Representative Butner regarding the House bill, and I think it's House Bill 17, where they are looking for the EMCs to be able to offer this. So once again, hopefully, I think after the legislative session, we were able to get Representative Buckner and Representative Trammell to come in and kind of give us an update on the different laws that was passed and how it would affect.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll be able to do that again if this board is willing to have that to happen. I think it went well the last time they were here. And maybe they can give us an update on some of the other pieces of legislation that would have an impact on our county as a whole.
I think we need to probably get our senator here.
Yes, and Robinson as well.
Carolyn, what's the date and time of the meeting you're having discussion for the county medical stuff?
Friday at 10 a.m., 10 a.m.
Thank you.
And Karen Daniel, I don't know if I didn't mention that. Karen Daniel from the RSC.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Did I miss anyone else? Thank you. There's no need for a public hearing, from my understanding. So we'll move on to unfinished business. And this one we have carried on for quite some time. Item number 1, appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Does any commissioner have a nomination or someone they'd like to recommend?
I've got a commitment from Mr. Emmett Collins to sit on that board.
Collins. Does any other commissioners have anyone they would like to recommend?
I had someone, but since we went with my person last time, I'm going to.
You're being very gracious.
I'll second it then.
All right, so we have a motion to accept Mr. Emmett Collins on the Zoning Board of Appeal, and we also have a second by that. So at this time, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Vote carries. Thank you. So the next...
Madam Chairman, could I just mention one other thing while we're on that? It will deal with
next meeting. But when I was looking through the paperwork, I noticed we still have our comprehensive plan steering committee on there. That committee has now served its purpose on the completion of that, so we probably just need to take some action next meeting to dissolve that.
Okay, thank you. The next item is a continued discussion of the airport safety project. I believe this is for you, Mr. Gay, to present to us.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Chairman, Commissioners, as we talked last week, we had an opportunity to be able to receive a lot more money from GDOT and the federal government than we thought on improvements to the airport. We originally were looking at about half the dollars that we were trying to do, and after the bids came in, McCoy Grading, of course, here from Meriwether County was the low bid, and it was a phenomenally good bid. And with that, the state looked at it and said, hey, we really think that we would be better to do this obstruction clearance project under one phase than to break it up into multiple phases, because there's some rock outcrops. Under a normal situation, we wouldn't have had enough dollars to do the whole project. But they like the numbers are good. They understand that if you bid it in two phases, it would cost you a lot more money, because you've got to mobilize twice and everything else. So they were asking the board for consideration in moving forward with this project. This project is total is a little over $1 million, and they're asking for a commitment of about $240,000 from the county, but the airport authority, I think, is willing to put forward $25,000 toward that. So really, we're looking at $220,000 worth of commitment locally, and that gets you a $1 million project. That will get you the safety area, primary surface improvements. That will mean that the rock outcrops on the north side of the airport will be removed completely. You will also get an apron crack seal and marking program. And then there's some trees that have to be cleared on the south runway approach. Those would be removed as well. And one of the other things that has cost us some more dollars on this is GDOT originally approved a plan for a parallel taxiway, and then GDOT didn't have the dollars to put that project forward. So we had to go back and and spend some money on design and some other things to get this project done. But there again, we get a tremendous benefit. Another benefit from this is this: GDOT will not allow you, and the federal government will not allow you to have dollars and use it on revenue-producing items until you clear all the safety issues. With the clearance of this obstruction and the primary surface improvement, we'll be able to spend future dollars on revenue-producing items such as a new fuel system, which we've talked about. We'll also be able to spend it at some point in the future on some extra T-hangers and other things that will generate some dollars down the road. Now, the dollar commitment that they're asking you to commit tonight also is the design cost for the fuel system. So it'll be designed, ready to be built.
Within this amount?
Within this amount.
Okay.
Within I believe the airport authority said they would also break that out. They'll pick up the tab up on that. Okay. By December.
Right, and I think they were willing to commit some more dollars as we went forward. But that does include the design and all for the...
All right, so what's the total cost again?
Total cost is $239,000.
And you're saying that also includes the design cost?
That includes design cost for the fuel.
For the fuel farm. Okay, and the other thing I want to ask you is, we were looking at using the funds from the Duran landfill. So have we, and Bill may can answer that, are we secure enough that those funds will be available?
Yes.
So you've already talked to the auditors regarding that, so we're in a position to do that. Okay. I also know that Commissioner Thrigill also has an interest that we have some satellites throughout the county for people be able to take some, dumping and things of that
Yes,
nature.
right.
So are we also looking at making sure when we're going for these fundings, additional fundings, that we're going to do it at one time, or are we looking to go back at a different time as far as the amount of dollars we want to take out of that
My
account?
recommendation would be that we pull the dollars out that we want to pull out. We not do it in multiple, we move money over. And, and then part of the dollars we want to do is to set up that program. We've been talking about that, and we already have a building in Durant we can use, so that will be good. It sits there, and it'll require some, maybe some staffing at some point to keep it open, because you want to certainly monitor what comes in. But we could create, for a very limited cost, we could create another collection and recycling center there, and then we can expand the program as we need to other locations.
Do we have any idea what that may cost right now? Have we put any proposal? And the only reason I'm asking is, it wouldn't be nice to know what type of dollar amount are you looking to seek for at this time, since you want to do it one time.
We don't have to pull the money to have that.
We wouldn't.
Okay.
And we also have some other things that we're working on which will free up some dollars as well.
It may actually be better to pull it at two separate times, and that way it's very designated as to.
What is it?
Yeah.
Georgia Fund 1.
As long as you can.
Yeah.
The interest of that account is more better.
And since you mentioned interest, is there enough interest right now that can offset so we won't deal with the principal? Has it accumulated enough interest to do anything with?
Not in today's environment.
Madam Chair, there's one other plus here, and you just probably overlooked it. Once we do this, see, currently our match for federal and state dollars is 20 to 25%. Once the safety is completed, our match then becomes 10%, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's 90% federal, 5% state, 5% local.
So we 5%.
That's
Can
what
actually go down to 5%.
That's when it goes to the, to the, what they call the 90-10
Right.
dollars. Now this has some state dollars in
That's what
it.
they call it, 90-10, that's what I was thinking.
And so what this has, it has some state dollars in it. We have to match the state dollars
That's right.
at 25%. But this gets the program moved forward, so if we use that allocation, annual allocation, we'll only have to match 5%.
But once we complete the project, then that percentage will change.
That's correct.
On your federal dollars,
on the
we
federal
won't have any more state
State
dollars
dollars.
we'll have to match unless we choose to do a bigger project beyond our allocation. But again, we can use it on revenue generation at that point. That's a pretty good step forward for there.
Right. The other thing I just want to get clarity on, when you were mentioning, instead of doing this in phases, we now can just do this in one phase?
Right.
So the contract that McCoy Grading has presented covers that one project?
The
Or is that?
McCoy grading contract will cover the primary surface and improvement, and I think there's a separate contract for apron crack sealing, because that's a specialized business. And then, of course, a runway clearing, we put a cost in there to achieve, and we'll be bidding that. That is actually on the gentleman I've already spoken to. It's a matter of removing some trees where there's no construction clearance on the approach.
So if we're able to, what time frame are you looking for this to?
They're wanting to let this before summer. They're wanting to let it and move forward with it. And I did speak to McCoy yesterday on another matter, and they said it would be about a couple months before they could get started on it. But it's going to take a little while for GDOT to put all the documents together. Now, I did go ahead and ask the engineers to send GDOT the information they needed. They needed all the bid tabs and everything, so I sent those, had those sent over to our GDOT representative. He emailed me back today and said, thanks for helping with that. I'm working on the contract.
But our deadline for the county action is
Yes.
for 1 April.
It's 1 April.
Okay.
Our
Yeah,
deadline to
we
make this is 1 April.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So based on the information you've already shared with us in the discussion we had at the previous commissioners meeting, what action do we need to take at this time?
We need to have the board approve funding for our local share, local match, less $25,000, which the airport authority will contribute.
Well, it comes up to 214,000 is what I figure. And that's all we're drawing out of the funds right now, just for that airport.
That's correct.
So at this time, we need a motion that we will approve the funding for the airport safety project. This amount comes to approximately $214,000. Also stating that the airport authority is contributing $25,000 as well to this, and this will allow us to meet the deadline that we need for April 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
So moved.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second that we move forward with the airport safety project. At this time, I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item on our list is the recognition of employees. I see these handsome and beautiful young ladies in your uniform standing up, so I'm assuming...
Real fast, since I have the floor.
Yeah, go right ahead. You're excited. Go ahead.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. A couple of things I want to go through real quick. I think I already mentioned the 50/50 grant we got for forestry. We're buying a lot of hose with that. We've got that in place now. I wanted to also announce we got a Department of Public Health Trauma Commission grant for $3,100. We're about to buy a 4-stair chair. We're moving forward. Also received through the RFD program in forestry a pickup truck that's going to help us try to up our standards with the trucks and be able to respond to what we need.
Before you go any further, do they have any more?
We are constantly begging or whatever we get. But the really cool thing about the pickup truck is it's zero cost. So, if we get to drive that thing for 6 months a year and we have to park it, it's nothing to us as far as just have to insure it. So.
One of the reasons you guys were able to get some of this equipment, we would have been eligible in the past, but we didn't have storage places or places to put it. So with the construction of the fire departments and other things, we're now eligible to receive some of this equipment.
So it's really exciting about some momentum that's building as far as that goes. We're seeking, whatever opportunities we can as far as funding and supporting this, through whatever we can to create what have you. And now what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is turn this over to Dustin. I want to see who's going to explain a little bit about the employees that we want to recognize. We're very, very proud of some of the momentum and milestones that we've achieved in training. And so if you don't mind, Dustin, come forward and explain a little bit about this.
Again, we thank you all for the opportunity to be here. I know y'all's time is very valuable, you have all on your plate, so we greatly appreciate the time to speak on these young gentlemen. It is a very great honor for me to be here to speak before you and to introduce these gentlemen and kind of tell you a little bit about what they have been through. So we've got 3 gentlemen here that since we have started this fire district process have become newly state certified firefighters. During our hiring process, we were very blessed to have a lot of applicants apply who were already currently state certified and ready to be put to work. The state of Georgia, for any full-time firefighters, requires you to gain a state certification in order to achieve full-time employment and work and be compliant with the fire department. That process consists of both written and physical testing. It is a curriculum that's designed by the International Fire Service Training Association through Oklahoma State University. It's what Georgia's adopted. So they complete this curriculum. It's a pretty big book that they have to study and read through. And while they're doing that with their written test, they also have to complete a pretty physically demanding regimen of skills testing, live fire training burns, a lot of different skills that provide them life safety and the abilities to perform in their job and what to do if they ever get in danger. So it is a very grueling process, and I'd like to recognize these 3 gentlemen at this time and introduce you all to them. First off is Mr. Matthew Burnett. We'll stand up right here. We have Mr. Cody Hall and also Mr. John Trent Harper. These 3 gentlemen, we are very honored to have them here to serve us. They have decided to come and dedicate their lives and their work to the citizens of Meriwether County. They're all very upstanding gentlemen, and we are certainly honored to have them here and to be able to present them to you tonight.
Yep. Put your
Burnett is stationed at Lone Oak, Mr. Harper is at Station 12, and you're still at Station 12.
You got this, Mayor, perfect. You can see her while ago.
Come this way, Lord.
I'll give him a chance.
I'm ready. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, you're right about that.
That's it?
That's it.
Hey, thank you, thank you.
The curriculum hours totals up to 340 hours worth of training. Through this, we're going to be able to greatly add to our ISO points to help, for the future to get us a better ratings and stuff. This will count towards. ISO has different ratings for training as far as multi-company training or new recruit training, so this kind of pushes us into that realm of being able to claim some new recruit training, which greatly helps out in the future.
It's a pretty intense program. It's almost boot camp-like to a degree, so it's quite an achievement. And I also like to invite, and I apologize if we didn't let you know, but we have others scheduled. The graduation ceremony at District is a very impressive ceremony. If you ever get a chance to come see that, it blew me away the first time I saw it. So when we do that again, we'll make sure you know. It's a very impressive organization, and it's very impressive to watch the ceremony.
I thought you were going to invite us to come and try to do this. I didn't know if you were trying to do a comedy or what.
I want to do that Sunday, but I'm not sure how to do that to keep my job, so.
Chief, Chief, 1 second. Commissioner Brady.
Will any of you guys be on the Odessa-Dale and Lucasville station?
Yes, ma'am. We're kind of playing chess to a degree because every time something opens up, we got to reposition it. We're not sure how we're going to position this countywide. And each time as we go forward with each station that opens with Odessa-Dale and then shortly thereafter will be Durant, there'll be some slight shifting of personnel. I think some of the ones we have at Lone Oak may come south and we may put some north. Ultimately, there's even a desire maybe to do some rotation where everybody gets familiar with the entire county.
That'll be a good idea.
We don't want to move people excessively, but we do want them to move in the territory. So there'll be some rotation involved.
Also, Chief, I just want to thank you for your leadership, especially around looking at other options of funding. I'm a grant lover, and appreciate the work you're doing to look at other means to funding. It's just not a lot of funding in other areas. We know there's not a lot of funding in public works, but to know that there are certain things out there in your department, I say to you and to your team, thanks for looking at other options because it takes a lot.
We've been blessed, and I think for whatever reason, I don't know that we've earned it, but we've been lucky to get a lot of stuff here, and we're going to continue to chase that back. We're about to finalize Georgia Firefighter Centers of Training fireworks tax grant, which I think we have to have in a couple of days, so we're going to be applying for some, trying to get help with the volunteer side of this.
Good.
So we're constantly working on this, or whatever opportunities. We're not aware of them all. If you guys see anything, please bring it to us, but we're chasing whatever we can.
Well, thank you. Appreciate all the hard work you all are doing. Thank you so much. Moving on under new business, Ms. Claudia Wallison wants to read and present a letter to the board. Would you come on up? How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Okay. Do we need to move the mic?
I'm appearing before you with the letter that was sent to me from President Jimmy Carter, and it's addressed to the county commissioners of Meriwether County. Several months ago, I reached out to President Carter to enlist his help in our efforts to prevent a mining operation in the Alvaton area. President Carter wrote back to me a very short note stating if the problem had not resolved itself to contact him again, to which I did. And I gave him an update on the situation, and President Carter forwarded to me the following letter that is addressed to you, the Meriwether County Commissioners. And it says, since the early 1970s, as governor, I've tried to protect the Flint River and its tributaries. I hope you will adhere to your decision last year and deny approval of the rock quarry near White Oak Creek. Respectfully, Jimmy Carter.
Thank you so much. Moving on to our next item is the approval of the application of the Safety LeMig, and that is for you, Mr. Guy.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, we received notice, and it was pretty short notice, that there were going to be some funds available for what they call Safety LeMig, and approximately $50,000 is what they let us know that we would be eligible for. This has to be on safety items. They consider signage, marking, raised pavement markers, etc. as items that are eligible. As we talked in the work session, you guys have actually striped about 150 miles of roads over the last 3 or 4 years. And so last year we used these dollars to be able to stripe 92 miles of roads. We got to look at this year, considering what we're going to be resurfacing. Kind of hard to find a lot of roads that we haven't touched. But also at a previous meeting, we had talked about the signage as part of Public Works, needing to update our signage. We have a lot of signage that doesn't meet the reflectivity requirements, etc. So Bill Cawthorn spent the last couple of weeks trying to put together this program because it has an April 1st deadline as well. And what we're doing is we're making an application for the 2019 Safety LeMig, and what we're asking for is the dollar. We'll have to match $15,000 on the 50. We're asking for quite a few list of roads. I think, Bill, how many miles did you say, buddy, on the striping? I mean, on the road signage?
Road signs, approximately
120 miles of road signage. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace all non-compliant, faded regulatory signs, warning and street signs, and bring them up into current compliance. We're also going to change out the post from these little, they're like, little U-shaped posts. And the wind, will deflect those, they'll wear and tear. This will be a square post, right, Bill? That'll be a lot more sturdy, and we're also going to, in order to be sure that people don't like the sign and say, let me take that home, we're going to put some hardware on there that's going to make it very difficult to be stolen. It's anti-theft. It'll have to take a special tool to be able to get it off. And so we're going to do that. We're also going to stripe, I think Bill said about 22 miles of roadways as well. And of course, this is dollars that GDOT had available through their extra funding, and so we appreciate them. We tried to work with them very closely through the years, and we appreciate them, remembering us and sending us the information about this. So we would recommend approval of the application and allow us to move forward. This will work in a very similar manner to the regular LeMig. We'll receive the dollars. And once that dollar check comes in, we'll go ahead and put together a project list and a bid contract for this work. We'll be doing a lot of the signage work ourselves.
We do this. There's some very dangerous dark roads at night that don't show up, and I actually sent you, I'd taken a little video. I was in Buds County or somewhere. I travel all over Georgia. But when you come up, it was solar powered and it had red LEDs around the entire stop sign, and it was bright in the daytime. And I thought that would be really, really good for some of these back roads, and you don't really have signage there to let you know when people come that may be visiting somebody, not know the road's coming to an end, stop sign, things like that, and also out in front of the school, things like that. But that's the first time I'd ever seen it, so if we can look at something like that too, for certain areas, I think it would help.
Be good, and I know that the state had sent us a list of areas where there's a lot of accidents and intersections, and they would like you to consider these. They're not on state routes where county roads intersect, and so we included some of those as well. That will show an effort working with them. We'll take a look at those. I saw one of those signs somewhere else, and it got me.
It does, even in the daytime.
And thanks for sharing that, Commissioner Grego, because just thinking of County Line Road, where it goes from a paved road to a dirt road, and it has a big drop.
Right.
And it is used a lot for people to come through from Coweta over into True.
Right.
And we know that there's been several accidents on that, so maybe it's on the list of the State Patrol because they're the ones who do keep that. So that may be one of the roads. If not, can we look into that road?
We can do.
Especially roads that go from paved to dirt.
Yeah. We hope to, our goal long-term would be to resolve that. I actually saw our, Bill and I did our GDOT board member the other day, and I wanted to set up a meeting with him to talk about not only that project, to talk about the T-Splosh thing we talked about earlier. We can put signage up, warning ahead on that, but ultimately we'd like to pave that section, replace that bridge too,
Yeah.
so we still have.
Until that's done. But once again, there's been several accidents in that particular
Correct.
location.
Okay.
So at this time, you just, go ahead.
Jay, can I have one comment? I know you said we're going to have some striping. Can we look at Primrose Road, the road the gentleman mentioned tonight? I mean, it sounded like it was in real need of
We'll
some striping.
definitely do that and make sure we get that in. The road mileage, I'm really hoping that when we let this out to bid that we'll, last year our prices come in so good, we were able to add like 40 miles of extra striping. And going to the center line only was a real cost savings because some of these roads don't have the travel lanes not wide enough for you to put the center line and the edge line. It'll come off the pavement a little bit and it makes it so narrow. So we may get it better, but we'll definitely include Primrose in that review, and we'll take a look at the signs, and we'll also take a look at that road.
So this was given to us on, we have a deadline to respond back to us on April 1st as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what kind of time frame will we do just putting the bid package together to get it out?
What I'd like to see is I would love for them to come back and send us our money where we know exactly, they said approximately $50,000. Like to see exactly what they've done. We can put it together fairly quickly once we can do that. We have a bid package. We try not to reinvent the wheel. We have a bid package that we put together last year on the striping, and Bill's already checked on the cost of the signage and everything, so we'll do that. We're going to do a lot of that in-house, but there may also be some of that we need to go ahead and let as well, so we'll be looking at all that. We'll be bringing the bid back as soon as we hear back from them, and it will be this within the next couple of months, because this is dollars they're going to want to get under contract prior to
end of the year. And so that part I understand, but getting back to what Bill presented to us regarding the Public Works program, I see where he has indicated a sign crew. So they would be able to do that aspect of it.
Yes, ma'am.
As soon as we are able to put those people in place as well.
They would. And you have really 3 years. We tried to move forward very quickly with our LMIG projects, and the only thing we've got outstanding is 18, 19 resurfacing, and that's starting now. And then we've got the Cove culvert. We've done everything else, so we don't waste a lot of time with that. But what you do have is we'd have 3 years to be able to finish that, so we could do a lot of that sign in-house. And we're not going to take that long.
I was going to ask you, is it going to take us that long to put signs out?
120 miles of signs, a lot of signs.
That's a lot of signs, I understand. Okay. All right. So at this time, we just need an approval of the application for the safety limit.
Right, and the chairman's signature.
Chairman's signature.
I move we approve the application.
I'll second.
So there's been a motion and a second to approve the application for the safety limit. I'd like to ask for a vote. All those in favor?
Allow chair to sign.
And I'm sorry, and allow the chair to sign.
And allow the chair to sign. So amended.
Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. The next item is the planning of advice of planning a subdivision development off of Sullivan Mill Road. Right. Is that you presenting or is Kathy presenting?
We'll get Kathy to come up. We'll put her on the spot.
All right, Miss Kathy, you're up.
She's done a great job.
Thank you.
She's done a great job. She's been working very hard. And Kathy, if you want to just explain it to her, we'll This is just FYI, just for notification.
We had a submission of a preliminary plat. A property owner had approximately 500 acres that is divided by Sullivanville Road. The south side included about 96 acres, and their intention was to divide those 96 acres into 5 estate-sized lots. This was in an LDR zoned area, so obviously we've got more than 5 acres, smallest one which is 13.8. They provided all the information we needed at the Planning Commission meeting last night. There is no need for additional roads. You've got all your power in there. It's going to be wells and septic. Everything's provided here. They took care of everything they needed. And we've actually got 5 new homes that are going to be going in, state-sized lots. They should be nice-sized homes as well. It was approved last night by our Planning Commission, and the final plat should be on Mayor Nash's desk now to sign off on that. So we're looking for good growth in that area, good positive growth, I should say. And actually got a notification from the agent that was with them last night and said that they're looking for probably doing 8 more on another area in the county, yet to be designated. But it also should be a good growth area for us with these larger lots and homes for new people coming into Maryland County.
That's good.
And the reason this was before the Planning Commission is it created a division, thank you Kathy, of 5, once it creates a division of 5.
Actually, it's 6 lots altogether.
Yes.
It's 6 lots.
It's 6 lots, yeah. And so it creates that kicks it into the subdivision regs. And again, I want to thank Kathy for her hard work on this, her review, and good job she's done.
So there's no action for us to take at this time. You just wanted to bring it to our attention.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We'll bring it to y'all's attention.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Does any commissioners have any questions or comments? Okay. The next item is a request to increase the limit on the credit card account.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gary?
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, we have credit cards that we use within the office. Bill has one, Beverly, I think, and I have one that's just one card. But what we have sometimes has a very low credit limit. It has like a $2,000 credit limit. And the problem we run into is that if we have people who are going to training, and we try to, now everybody wants it registered with a card. We run into a situation last week where we had something we already tried to register. If we order parts, some computer parts you can only get through the through the mail, we have to put all that on. So what we end up with is we had then the assessor's office who needed to go to training. We didn't have enough credit limit on our cards to be able to set all of that up. And this would be limited to just a couple cards, and I think, Bill, your recommendation was, what, 75?
Right now, we have a $15,000 limit. I'd like to up that to $23,000.
That's on overall, right?
The total.
And the difference of that could be split between Darren's card and my card, because those cards seem close to the action. Beverly takes care of all you guys' training and stuff, and some public works does. And I take care of the courthouse and the tax bill and all the classes they go to. So, I'm not really in favor of using credit cards that much, but that seems to be the way things are going now. You register classes with a credit card. A lot of stuff in the computer technology world, that's the only way you can get it with a credit card. Some of our recurring charges, like Microsoft and that kind of stuff, credit card. What's happened is one of our cards is maxed out. One of those recurring charges are declined, so that makes things kind of strange. But I've talked to Beverly about it. We think that the $23,000 limit right now would suffice.
23
total, the whole program.
And that's for 3 cards.
Well, actually, we got 6 cards.
6 cards. So that's the total for all 6 cards?
But just 2 of us would be at 75.
Yeah, with the increase.
The rest of them are 2,000.
But if everybody went train same time basis, you just sort of cut it.
Yeah.
Right.
So the total amount is just to increase the cards, so total 23,000.
Right.
And we pay these off each month anyway. They're not balances, they're not carried forward.
Yeah, the problem comes when we reach that credit limit like we did today.
And we have receipts like we do with anything else.
this time, we need to put a motion on the floor that requests to increase the limit on the credit card amount to $23,000.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and a second that we increase the credit card amount to $23,000. At this time, I'd like to ask for a vote. All in favor, motion carries. The next item, item number 8, is the budget amendment for item number 15.
This is the final budget amendment for fiscal year 2018 that we ended. The auditors are working on right now. And I apologize for the link to the backup Excel spreadsheet. In essence, what we're doing here is we present the budget by departments, by funds, and then the auditors are consolidating the financial reports. They have to move a lot of costs around so it shows up in the right place. For example, a lot of the costs that is in the 911, in public safety and 911 gets moved from those departments out of Fund 100, the general fund, to the 911 fund. We don't track it that way in the budget year, but that's what the financial reports are presented. That's why you see so many different additions and subtractions from different departments. And on the back page, you'll see the net change in the budget, so it all cancel balance set out. Like I said, final auditors requesting budget amendment.
This is, the auditors are requesting this budget amendment. Any other questions or comments? Anyone has a question regarding this? So we just need to make a vote on this. Okay. All right. So I'd like to ask for a motion that we make the adjustment to the budget amendment number 15 at the request of our auditors. So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor, cast a vote. Vote carries. Thank you so much. The next item is item number 9, is the T-Splash. Mr. Gay presented that to us during the work session. Is there any more discussion on this?
Madam Chairman, our request is just a matter of, does the board want to move forward with, putting this for the citizens? Consider it. If you do, what time? Because it's, we have to have everything done and have it this year by June the 30th, and that's going to include, intergovernmental agreements with all the cities. If the desire is to just to wait on this, it's not a issue for us. We just need to know which direction the board wants us to go. As we said, it would create about, for the county itself, it would be about a little over $5 million for a 500 period. The cities would receive a portion of that, and it has to be used specifically for transportation.
And if we were to put it on the ballot and it passed, when would the money start?
I think the effective date would probably be 2020. I think it would start next year.
Probably in March.
Probably in March, yeah.
It's not bad.
No.
It's not bad.
And then that will allow you to, if we have those fundings, it will allow us to be able to set up some programs, that we can move forward with additional. And again, I mentioned the GDOT board member. I'd like to talk to them about that too, see what other programs and maybe matching fund would like.
So at this time, we need to put a motion on the floor to move forward with a T-Splash, and that we address this by June 30th of this year. I know if there's any more questions or discussion, or any of the commissioners want to make a comment regarding this. Okay, if not, I'd like to put a motion on the floor that we move forward with a T-Splash for Meriwether County, and that we prepare this by June 30th of this year, 2019.
That would place it on the ballot.
And that would place it on the ballot for November of this year, of 2019.
I'll second it.
Yeah, I put the motion on. Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
I hope our citizens will be excited about this as well. We need all the funding we can get for public
It's gonna be
works.
all about getting them informed about it though.
Yes.
To understand.
We'll
It
start
will
that
be a
process.
process.
All right, the next item is item number 10, a discussion of the recreation contract between Manchester and Meriwether County. Mr. Gay?
Yes, ma'am, we have a recreation contract that we have worked on not long after I was here. I'd worked with the mayor and others on getting that original agreement together. And that contract is set to expire, I think, November of 2020. And city manager of Manchester had told me they were working on some planning for future budgeting purposes. And he provided me tonight with a copy of their minutes from their March 11th meeting that said that the city of Manchester is planning on, working on their budget, and that they've made a motion to communicate the council's willingness to continue the program past November the 15th, 2020, in preparation of a new intergovernmental agreement being drafted, and the vote for them was unanimous. So what they're asking is, because we're planning their budget, is this board's consideration of the contract that's in existence that will expire in November of 2020. They're asking for consideration on whether or not the county would like to extend that and for an additional period of time.
And what is that additional period of time?
What was the original contract time?
Original contract would have had to been for like probably 5 years.
5 years.
5 years. Because I worked on it in November would be 5 years.
So the fifth year is actually November of 2020.
That's right.
That's when it actually expires.
That's when it expires.
So the discussion now is they wanting to be for looking at their budget long-termly is to go into discussion of renewing this contract prior to the expiration date.
Because that's part of, I think, their
long-term.
Because they do put a lot of dollars into recreation. I would say, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but we were trying to put that together, it was about twice what we.
Yeah, it's over 300.
Yeah, it's over 300. It's pretty good sum of money that they put in, and to the program. So they were looking at, looking at their budget plan,
And what is their budget year run up? He said something about that tonight. We're not on the same budget year.
Theirs with the state, June or July, and ours is, we have a fellow.
I remember that being an issue before about ours, the date. I had forgotten about that.
So, but the time frame that they want to extend this is, they didn't indicate whether they want to do another 5 years, 2 years? No, they didn't say
It
that.
says, let me read it, make sure, because I would like to say I have, so the vote was unanimous with 5 positive votes of the city. It says the city manager provided information to the city council about the intergovernmental agreement for countywide recreation in Meriwether County, Manchester. Existing agreement term ends November 15, 2020, and the city manager, for the purpose of budget planning, asked if the council desired to continue with the program past that date, noting that a new agreement would be drafted for approval at a later date should Meriwether County also wish to proceed, and that there were motions to communicate the county's willingness to continue the program past November 2020. And so it doesn't
There's
really
no
give
set
a time period. It just says, is the county willing to continue that program for a period of time past the 2020 and November 2020 time frame?
So is this something we could do on a yearly basis rather than extending it to 5 years?
You could. I think one of their issues, because he had told me they were working on their budget, I think one of their issues is to try to plan ahead since they have a large amount of dollars in here, and I think they're trying to allocate their funds maybe in their
We did do it on a yearly basis initially, and it did become an issue, one, because of our budget times, but two, they never really knew if they could plan ahead because they were always waiting to see what the vote was going to be that year, and I think that's when we went to 5 years.
Well, I know when they, when I first went to meet with them after, the board had said, let's try to put this together again, they were kind of unhappy with the action of the board previously, because I think it was one of those things that they had planned for. They had the budgets out, and then
they pulled it out from under it last minute. I'll just tell you how it was.
And I'll be honest with you, they did it intentionally, publicly.
Well, it left a bad taste.
It was bad.
So how many years have the contract been in existence? So it's getting in its 5th year. So this is 4 years for?
This November would be 4 years.
And it starts the 5th.
Of this current contract.
Okay, I understand that, but prior to that contract being signed, how many other contracts were signed? I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. What's the length of time that this contract has existed? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I think we did 2 one-year contracts, and then we went a year without when we tried to do it ourselves. I think we were, or most of us were here when we hired somebody to do it.
So altogether, you're looking at a total of, what, 7 years? 7 years?
Once this one's completed.
It'll be 7
I
years.
think it'll be 7 years. And then again, this was, when I came, the contract had been discontinued at that point. And again, like I say, they were,
I think we just went 1 year, maybe without.
And it doesn't have to be 5 years. I mean, if you guys wanted to go a couple years to extend 2020 to 2022, whatever. I don't know what they were, there's obviously going to have to be some more conversation with terms and everything with this. But
So is this something that needs to be voted on or discussed, voted on tonight? Or is this something that, once again, we can look at what a 2-year or 3-year or 5-year contract would actually entail in more depth?
to do that, if you guys would like us to go back and meet with Doug and everybody and put together some terms, we can do that. Again, if there's no interest in that, we have so many things to do, I'd rather not, have that extra effort if we don't need to. But you guys can vote tonight, you can do whatever really you want to do.
Well, I know we had some discussion with them tonight, and then the advisory board, or the lack of, has been in place for 3 years, and tonight's the first time we've had any type of person come before us and give us any type of update. We got a long way to go, in my personal opinion, to get to where it's a county-wide and we sustain it.
Totally county funded.
Yeah, county funded. And, knowing how much Manchester puts in on top of what the county puts in as a whole, that one municipality puts in double what the county does, and it does provide, in my personal opinion, for the county. And I know we need to get there, and we hopefully will, because that's what I'd like, that's what Manchester would like too. But I know that they came to us with a 5-year contract before, and since it's here, I'd actually like to put a motion out there that we extend the contract past the expiration of this one to 2025 and do another 5-year contract is what I'd like to put out there.
Well, in my opinion, that's not going to work for me personally, because I would like to know what does Meriwether County plan to do in terms of conveying this to a Meriwether County recreation program. I know when I first came in, and I was at the meeting prior to I come in, that this was a long-term plan. And I understand that the advisory committee has not come up with any solution, but I don't think they have given the material to come up with a solution also. And nevertheless, why would we do 5 years? And when are we going to put a program in place to take all the aspects of recreation into place? Right now in Manchester, all we are doing is sports. So, but there's more to recreation, as was explained to us tonight, than just sports. So my thing is that we need to be trying to get to a point where we all can enjoy recreation. And I understand that we are a long way from Manchester, and maybe a few are coming from Louisville or whatever. But that's a long way for a central location for Meriwether County Recreation Department. Just like we are talking about this waste treatment, it's a long ways from Manchester to Lone Oak. It just is long from Lone Oak to Manchester. So we need to look at this in more than one way, that we are just pushing the cart down the road.
Well, I think funding is going to be the thing. Funding's actually, it's going to be it, and it's not going to happen overnight. We have to put a lot of money to it. And they did bring up some good points tonight with other things that need to be in recreation. But we do have Woodbury as a hub, recreation as well. But also the city of Woodbury has stepped up to do things. Some other cities are going to have to step up for some things as well to make it go.
We could put satellites throughout and have it. Maybe we can get stuff going in those areas too. I think right now we have to look out for the near future. And to me, that's it.
Well, one more comment I would like to make. If we're going to put this in consideration, the $150,000, could we take part of that money and try to improve the other recreational spots throughout the county?
I thought we were doing that.
No.
I thought we were working on the place at Greenville School.
We just donated $2,000 to Greenville, yes, but that's not out of the $150,000. And if you consider the fact that if we give them $150,000 every year, they can have enormous sports. I mean, I understand they're putting $300,000 in their sales, but look what we are contributing to their sport.
And of course, if you go from where it was when the contract initially was negotiated 4 years ago, everything was in Manchester. We really didn't have the program. The gym down in Woodbury was in bad shape. It was in disarray. It was like not done. So we've come a long way with that. We need, in order to have some of these hubs, you got to have some more facilities to house them. And I know one of the things we talked about with SPLOST was being able to go in, take the gymnasium down here, and rework that gymnasium where you could have a program here in Greenville. Right now, we don't really have a place here in Greenville to hold a program. But I mean, I think that would be a wonderful location with a gymnasium, and we're working on the ball field right now, and that's slated in our SPLOST.
So one more question. Would it take a 5-year program, a 5-year contract for us to be able to convey something into Meriwether County as a whole recreation program, not just a sports recreation program?
I don't know why you couldn't work on some of the other stuff anyway, or something with seniors or whatever, whether it be outdoor activities or whatever. I would say we do all three. That's through the recreation.
Yeah. And they got one in Manchester too.
And that's what I wanted to extend on what I was saying a little bit, is if we do this, then we know that we continue with what we have. But with the SPLOST and funding like that, it doesn't prohibit us from growing somewhere else to get it to where everything meets at one point. If you do a little here, a little there, a little here, a little there, that's what you got, a little here, a little there.
I want to make a comment as well. Without a doubt, there have been some improvements and we've really offered some things, but once again, when we talk about quality of life, we do have to offer more things other than sports and a ball. One of my things is to make sure that, I have citizens who ask about walking trails or places to go exercise. So once again, looking at this in a way where we can meet the needs of not just our youth, but our citizens as a whole. My most concern is that there's been a good partnership. Like everything, you can always do better and increase on it. But I have some concerns that does it need to be another 5 years? I can understand what they're bringing to the table. And definitely Vic has done a great job personally on reaching out outside of the area that he does, without a doubt. But once again, we know, for me, recreation is not just about a ball. We are missing opportunities to do other things. Since we have an advisory board, it's just strictly an advisory board. So when it comes down to looking at grants that are out there, other programs that we can partner with, we don't have anything in place to actually make that happen, from my point of view. So even if they brought something to us, we're still missing. I mean, I have, over the years, sent out a lot of different grants around recreation. I have provided to the advisory board and to this board. And unfortunately, we have not acted on it, unfortunately, for whatever reason. Maybe not the capacity, the manpower, whatever. But we also have to acknowledge the fact that we've got to be a little bit more broader on how we're providing recreation. I personally think that another 5-year contract will not allow us to grow in the way that we need to grow. Not to say that there could not be a continuation of a contract. I just personally think 5 years is a little too long.
How much you split the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I do, because also, you know, at the end of the day, we know that in order to operate a recreation on an average county, you're looking at $500,000 or more, you know. But it's not just, or a meal, but we've got to start somewhere. And as this county is growing and people are coming in, they're looking for certain amenities. You know, they're wanting these amenities. And so for us to keep saying, we're going to get there, we're going to get there, we're going to have to put something structured. When Ms. Nika gave her presentation, she shared with different options that we have. Unfortunately, we've had some problems with people attending the meetings, but then just because of that, that should not mean that we should just not stay involved. Because as different people come on the boards, they got to bring different things, different information. But at the end of the day, we do have to provide something a little bit more broader. You know, that's just my personal opinion. Because as people move into the county, where the children or seniors, they're looking for things to do right here. So if that means partnering with tourism, partnering with the artists that are here, you know, we've got to look at other options.
I think Meriwether's a part of that. I mean, there's a lot, and that's definitely recreation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You're going to have the walking trail there. That's...
Well, maybe the thing is just promoting what we do better. Once again, letting people know what are some of the things that we have here. Truly, Peaches in the Pine is in its 5th year, and it's doing great. But there are still people in this county that don't even know about Peaches in the Pines. So we've got to do a better job of providing resources and letting people know what's out there. And we also have to do a better job of hearing. I mean, it was disheartening to hear that we did a survey that was done. And I personally know that at every one of my town hall meetings, at every one of the meetings we did around Splosh, we had people to fill them out. So we know that, I know personally I had over 300 people to fill them out and go online. And to find out that we only got 100 people response back, 150.
You know, when we did the comp plan, we got a bunch. It's the same mechanism. Here would be my recommendation on how we go from where I think we are now to where we need to be. I think you need to pick a period of time and tell Manchester, until this date, we're going to rely on you guys for assistance and partnership with recreation. That lets them plan their money and their programs. And once we decide what that's going to be, and it's not going to be something I don't think you can do within a year, we need to develop a plan. It's unfortunate that Recreation Committee spent a lot of time in the early, beginnings of it, on stuff that in the grand scheme of things wasn't important, like who's going to sell concessions. You can talk about that all day, and that doesn't really get you where you need to be. I think that you need a game plan that includes buildings, facilities, and also a plan for staffing and everything that will transition us into a period in time when we get to that point, we can say, okay, we are now ready to begin countywide recreation managed by Meriwether County. That allows you time to get everything set up. You don't have to rush. You have a plan, and in Manchester knows whether that be 2020, 21, 25, or whatever, that they've got a plan along that as well, and make a determination of where they want to go.
We do that, and we got to be ready to go with it, because if we tell them we're finished with you, then we got to be ready to go at that point. Well, and I mean, we were all here when we tried with the, I mean, that was such a disaster.
We had one girls softball game The first summer.
The whole summer. That is all we had. And it was such a disaster. It's just left a terrible memory or whatever of how little we did. And it was because it was decided at the last minute, okay, we're not going to do it with y'all, we're going to do it ourselves, and we went right into it. And we failed. We failed the children, we failed the people here.
Well, I just want to make one comment, and I hear what the other commissioners are saying, and unfortunately that was the purpose of the advisory board, is so that at the end of the contract, which is 2020, which does not end until 2020, is to have that in place. So we already had established a 5-year date to move forward. So now we're asking, we haven't even got to that date. We've not received anything from the advisory board more concrete, and yet we're deciding to go ahead and extend it another 5 years.
And I understand this is a new advisory board starting this year, but we've had this in place for 3 years, and I'm sorry, nothing came forth from it. And to me, that's just spinning wheels. And you know, there's a gentleman sitting right beside Darren that was on the initial advisory board that actually helped to create and build Harris County's recreation. And his comments were just dismissed, and nobody wanted to move forward with what needed to be done on that committee at that time.
Well, also, I would like to say that on that board, he was on that board, and also, that board had nothing to work with. Everything that they came up with, they had no funding, just like Mika said right now. If we want to go in and do a planning for a master contract, they're going to need funding. They personally can't
But
go
nobody
out.
came to us asking us for that funding. That they're supposed to advise us as to what they need and want, and we make the
Okay,
decision.
right now, can we make a resolution, or can we say that we are committed to giving the advisory board what they need to move forward?
No, they're an
If they
advisory.
don't have any funding,
No.
well, if they come to us and ask for funding for Three Rivers, are we in a position to give them that money so Three Rivers can come up with a master
If they
plan?
bring it to us and present it, and the majority of the board finds that it is something they want to move forward with, just like every other decision in this county, then yes. I'm all for it if they present us with something that is going to move us forward, but I'm not willing to give an advisory board that absolutely has no authority to have money to do what they want to do with. That's the whole point of an advisory board, is to
That's not
advise
what I'm
us.
asking. No, I'm asking, is the county committed to give money to the recreation department so that the advisory board can move forward with getting assistance from Three Rivers or whoever they need to get assistance from to provide a master plan for Meriwether County Recreation? I'm not asking you to put the money in their hand,
That's what it sounded like,
but
sorry.
that's not what I'm asking.
I think that master plan would be important to identify your facilities and your staffing needs and your programs. Because all that needs to be developed. So I think that would be important. Johnny, would you?
You know, that's what you and I tried to start working on.
Right.
And, you know, yeah, I totally agree. And I understand what Ms. Grace and Ms. Hines do. And you can spin your wheels, and it looks like, you know, between recreation, Manchester, and everything, we kind of sit there. We do need a good master plan, and we don't have it. But, I mean, and she's right, in order to develop that, you have to have some outside help. It's, you know, you can plan and plan and plan. Well, your son was in recreation, grow up talking about, you have to have those folks with the expertise that understand how to break it down and make it work. And unfortunately, that board doesn't have that. I mean, you know, nothing against the board. I mean, it's just not there. You know, whereas when Harris County started their recreation, they relied heavily on Columbus. And you know, Columbus was a good partner. And I think Three Rivers could be a good partner. I mean, there are a lot of partners that you can use, but until you can get a good breakdown, master plan, it's going to be difficult. I think you'll continue to have this conversation repeatedly until you
got to decide too when and if, what money we can put into it. I mean, we just added over $200,000 to our budget for Public Works. We all know that we've got to do that. We don't have, but we can't keep adding when our revenues are not going up. So we got to decide if and when we feel like we can put more money into it. You have the 150, I mean, that's their contract amount. Yes, we give them, I don't think we can take from that to do it. I think we'd have to come up with additional money to do any kind of plan. Because that's, I mean, that's what they asked for a long time ago, and that figure hasn't changed, although the expenses have had to have gone up over time.
About Meriwether County is everybody said we don't have facilities. Well, we went out to facilities.
We got more facilities than anything, yeah.
Like Greenville Gym, Greenville baseball field, but the facilities are here. So I think the base is here. We just got to develop our game plan as how we will develop.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. You know, even though that group may have had some issues on attendance, they were able to identify different resources in the county, and we realized that most of those were within the city. They weren't the county. The county does not have anything but Lake Meriwether and the park in Lono. So once again, coming out of the strategic plan, my main concern is this, is another 5 years, hopefully it will be countywide, but I don't think it's going to take another 5-year contract to make it happen. I think there needs to be some compromise somewhere in that 5-year period, because the more you push stuff out, there's no sense of urgency. There's no commitment to get it done and completed. So for me, there has to be a sense of commitment and a time frame that's more locked in, and I personally don't think it takes another 5 years to make that happen.
And for me, this board needs to let the advisory board advise us instead of us advising them. Because that's why we put them into place. So I think even if we attend meetings, we need to not put in our own thoughts and what should happen, because then we're not getting the true county input that we need. And I know that there are commissioners on this board that have put in more than their 2 cents worth to the advisory board, and that's not why that board is in place.
I'd like to comment on that. I'm just going to comment on it in this way. I do attend meetings on all boards. I attend IDA meetings, I attend water and sewer meetings, I attend recreation meetings. I attend meetings for the purpose of hearing what's being discussed. I also attend meetings so I can learn. I also, when I have information I think it's helpful, I share with every board that I attend. So once again, my objective is for every board in this county to perform on a level that benefits the county as a whole. So once again, we are in a position now to think of the county as a whole. Recreation, we've all, from my understanding, agreed is a quality of life that's needed. The issue now is how do we move forward and how do we make it work? My point is this: I think that there's an opportunity to work along with Manchester like we have, but I don't think it's going to take another 5 years to make that happen. So those are my comments.
Won't you guys establish some milestones where you want to have?
Split the, like I said, split the difference. By 2023, Meriwether County is going to do their own recreation
And
program.
I'll retract my first and say that I would like to extend it to
That gives us 4 years to get together. It's going to take, that's going to take some doing to happen.
So I would say...
And we got planned budget-wise, I'm sorry,
No, that's good.
about,
Did you just make that a motion?
I made it a motion to extend it till the year end of 2023.
And you rescinded your previous motion?
I did.
Okay, good.
but we're going to have to do something budget-wise to start planning for that as well.
What kind of discussion? Do we need a second discussion? Is that
We're still in
that budget
discussion.
year,
Well, he's got-
that budget?
No, to the end of 2023, because it
Yeah,
gets to the
okay.
end of November. So
Excuse me, I'm sorry. We've got a motion on the floor, and Beverly's brought it to my attention that there needs to be a second.
Discussion.
Okay, and then a discussion. So it was a motion on the floor by Commissioner Threadgill and second by that. So now we can have discussion.
Okay. My discussion is, right now, we're having a conflict with our budget. so that 2023, can it be and coincide with their budget so that in 2020, they will not be looking for a contract before our budget ends?
You can make that in a motion, but I make the motion till the end of November 2023.
That's what your current contract says, November 15th. You can put whatever date in there you want.
That's my point. Right now, we are not
theirs would end in June.
November, and we are already considering changing the budget to and coincide with their budget. So why don't we do the contract to coincide with that budget, so that year we would not have the same issue to come up again?
So you're saying that the contract ends June of 2023?
Does it end June 30th? Is that there?
Yeah.
Instead of November?
Well, I mean, you could do it, based upon September 30. I'm not sure exactly what their deal is. We could do it.
Their budget's the same as the state's.
So it's July.
So June 30th, if we end at June 30th of 2023, at that point, that's the end of their budget. They'll know how to plan going forward with their new budget, and we know by then we've got to have ours.
Have everything in order.
All right, so we got a motion on the floor, and is Ms. Mary putting the motion on the floor to
I would
be
like to
voted?
motion that we end the contract on June 30th, 2023.
Wait a minute, we have to take
action
on the first. We have to take action.
Or if he wants to amend.
Or we want to.
Here's the reason I'm not retracting this one. Are we gonna stop mid-year that we've paid $150,000 to not continue the rest of that 5 months of that year?
We paid the
To continue.
$150,000 upfront.
It's per year. So my whole thing is,
We paid it monthly, that's what I'm thinking.
okay,
And the only reason why I would say that, because that was one of their concerns while they were coming to us to get it
Within their fiscal budget year.
within their fiscal year.
I'm not withdrawing anything.
So we have a motion on the floor and a second to continue the contract with Manchester and for it to end in November of 2023.
Yes.
All right, so that's the motion. So now we need to ask for a vote because it has been put on the floor and it's been second. All right, so at this time, I'd like to call for a vote that we continue the contract with Manchester Recreation and that it ends November of 2023. All those in favor of that? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
But they can still plan, if they know, if theirs is ending June 30th, then they know they can still plan. I mean, they know when it's gonna end.
And what we'll put together some talking points also where we need to go, because it's, I think what you said earlier, we don't want to get to that date.
We can't wait till
and
then
not
to
be
do it.
prepared. We need to be prepared up front and, with a lot.
I mean, there's a lot of work to do and I want to get there, so we need to start and we need to figure out funding, and we need to figure out the small things we can go ahead and start doing and putting in place so that it's ready when the time comes.
The next item is item number 11.
I didn't know I was through talking.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
No, that's all right.
The next item is item number 11, a moratorium on the aspect of, a moratorium on accepting new roads in the county, and we put this moratorium to be effective July 1st of 2019. Would you like to elaborate more on that?
Yes, ma'am, I'd be happy to do that. We've been working with a subdivision that was created, and we accepted part of the road. This was years ago and set out for a while. And now the owners want to go back and they want to continue to sell lots. Well, we're in a situation where we can't allow that because the road is not in condition to be able to warrant that. Well, us as taxpayers would have to go back and fix it. So we've asked them to repair this road. Well, in looking at that, we looked at our road standards, and they are not very good. And so what I wanted to be assured that we could do, we talked about this in the past, and I thought our standards were better than what they were, but when we looked at them, they're not good at all. So what I would like to do is ask for consideration of the board to put a moratorium on accepting any new roads into the county road system until we have time to go back and address the specifications specifications what we want in terms of roadways. And we want to establish that where there'll be a roadway there that, 2 years after it's put in, the taxpayers won't have to go back and fix. We'd like to put in, and I'll bring all this back, we'd like to have bonding periods and a lot of things with increased specifications. Because right now, your specifications are so small and so inadequate that when they pave the road and they get through running the construction trucks and the sheetrock over it, it's going to be torn up anyway. And we want to change that, and we can get that done. The reason I said July 1st is you have to put a date on it, and I think that's something we certainly can do in that period.
I have a question for you, Mr. Gate. Is July 1st a feasible amount of time in order to get this done, considering all the other things that you have going on? I'm asking because I don't want us to push ourselves, and as we're getting different people coming into the county to build, will that be ample amount of time for you and your team to do this, considering all that's going on in the planning and zoning
I
department?
think so. If we get to a point where it looks like we're not, we'll ask you guys to extend that. We are working on this road up there, so they would already have in essence, had an application in, so we'll resolve that particular road. Right now, we don't have any requests for roads. I know a lot of people are looking at...
We don't want to miss out on any.
That's right. We don't want to miss out. We don't want to accept one that meets our current standards.
But we don't want to miss somebody
July 1st
coming in and
would be
doing
a
it.
reasonable time.
Okay. All right, anything else?
So that's all. If you guys are willing to do that, we'll work on putting those standards together.
So at this time, we need a motion on the floor to have a moratorium on accepting new roads into the county road system up until July 1st of 2019.
So moved. Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. At this line, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next item is the report from the Finance Director, Bill Gregory.
Madam Chair, you've got two reports. One of the county bank balance, general fund bank, pretty strong. We're pleased with that. Any comment on anything else? The landfill account that we talked about earlier is $840,000. That's almost $841,000. Take 215 out of that, you see, still have over $600,000. That's good. On the property tax, I think we're in line to reach the Department of Revenue's guidelines of 95% collected by the time of the next tax digest. We're at almost 93% now, so we should be able to achieve that. And that's all I really have. Unless you have any questions.
Any commissioners have any questions or comment at this time? If not, we'll move on to the next item. It's a report from the county administrator.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, Commissioners, we, just very quickly, we did issue a notice to proceed on the Culvert project. We received the bonds in on that, and that was the last thing we were waiting on, so that should get started soon. I attended the Planning Commission meeting last night. I met with Ms. Jane and James Stevens from our Water and Sewer Authority with the industries at the industrial park regarding sewer pre-treatment. We're working on that. I met with Kathy and on several property owners that have some potential rezoning requests. We've got a couple more that I think are coming in next week. We have a lot of interest in the county on rezoning and businesses and things of that nature. Safety and big, we worked on, you guys approved that tonight. Beverly's reached back out to Talbot County, as you guys had requested. And the response that we got back was that at this point in time, they've had a lot of volunteers. They think they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They did note that they really appreciated, and it was heartwarming to know that a couple of our commissioners had gone down and helped. They mentioned that in the email back, and they just said to thank all of Meriwether County and the Board of Commissioners for y'all's offer on things. And we'll keep out. We've told them if you need some help, let us know, and we'll keep reaching out to them. But they did say they sincerely appreciated the offers and the fact that some of you guys have been down there with them. So I want to mention that. And also Ms. Jane mentioned the scrap tire and the cleanup program is a month away. I asked Alice today to go ahead and try to pull the documents for the scrap tire grant, and we'll see if we can make application. Last time we got, we originally applied for $8,500, which they thought was too much. We ended up with $11,000, so that's good, and we'll try to reach out and get some.
Is that what we'll apply for this time, you think?
Keep that program going. And then, of course, we get reimbursed for what it is, so I think we can certainly prove when we ask for $11,000 that we can produce that. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we have a report from the county commissioners. Commissioner Threadgill.
I don't have anything. I think I have spoken enough.
Commissioner.
The only thing I see Mr. Lewis is sitting out here. I just wanted to inform him that I was informed today that Harmon Road hopefully will be resurfaced tomorrow.
Starting.
That smile was worth it.
Is that it for you? That's it. All right. I just want to mention one thing. Yvette Jones, who was the director for USDA for our region, has received a promotion. She is no longer in that position anymore. And so I want to say that she's done a tremendously great job for Meriwether County, throughout the county, from the work that she did with the President Theater in Manchester to what she was able to assist in Warm Springs with their parking lot, the work that she's done in Woodbury, and definitely the work she's done in Greenville with their waste treatment plant, and then the funding that she was able to allocate for us. So I would like to make a recommendation that we just reach out to her, really thank you, just appreciate what she's done here in Meriwether County. As far as I know, they've not placed anyone yet in her position, but when that happened, I think it would be to our advantage to reach out to that individual and build that same type of relationship so that once again we can make sure that we're on their radar when grants and programs comes available through USDA.
We propose a letter. Thank you, letter, for what you did.
We do that. I did talk to the office today, and while she's not in the same capacity, there is a young lady named, her name is Monica, and she is the contact for us in the grant, and so she was not in today, so I could not speak to her, but I will give her a call back, and just, like you say, keep us on the radar.
Thank you.
Just have a couple of things. The President Theater held their first event this past weekend. Elvis has left the building. It was well attended. They have a concert coming up sometime in April, and then the actual executive director will come on board in June. I think that's when we can start to see the movies and the different things, but these are some events going on. I know they would love your support. This has been a many year project that has finally come to fruition, and it is a beautiful theater that I think lots will enjoy. One thing, a suggestion I'd like to make as we get ready to head into our budget planning, I would like to see us have one, maybe two work sessions where we invite the public, or make sure they know about it and come, and where we can talk back and forth, whether we go over so many departments one time, because the feedback I'm getting from people, number one, they don't understand, most of them don't, where all this money goes to, and it sounds like a lot, but we all know in a county this size, our budget, that is not a lot of money to take care of it. And I just think if we could have a couple of meetings, it can be informal, we talk back and forth, give them a little information, let them ask questions, and hopefully get a better understanding for it, and do this before we actually have set the budget. We have public meetings, and they can come, but really and truly, the budget's done then. So I'd like to see this happen early on.
Especially on a couple of the big things like roads and all, where we're going to spend the money.
I'd say some of the departments they might not really care about, but Public Works would be one of them. And if we could just have some conversation and let them just talk back and forth, and that's it.
Thank you.
Said two. Said two.
Other one was the theater. You slept through it.
Commissioner
Just an accolade to Public Works. The staffing, the equipment that we purchased over the last few years, the staffing that you're putting in place now, and the idea of being able to have a schedule just means a lot to me. And I think to the public here in Meriwether County. I've got to go back to Lake Meriwether. We're running out of time. Starting Monday, we have 30 days we've got to be complete for the grant. April 30th is coming fast. We have, just to let you know, all the bathrooms down there are functioning and are being utilized by the patrons that come to the park now, so that is really good. Our trail completion is very, very close for the one around the lake, and then we got to focus on the ADA and getting that thing punched out here over the next 30 days or so. And we did get down to primitive camping. There is also 110 volt electricity and water there for those that are camping in the primitive park and the primitive camp area. One other thing I was going to make mention of, I'm getting volunteers. You know, our shooting range has been kind of on the back burner. We have money that has been given us, and I understand the possibility of getting more money to go over and get to work on that. And I'm getting volunteers are coming forward now saying we would like to work on that range. So I'm just glad to hear that. And that's all I've got, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So tonight we have Mr. Mike, is it Hill?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hill, representing us as an attorney. I know this is your first night, so you probably don't have any comments, or do you?
Other than Nathan Lee, and I would like to express the gratitude to the board for allowing us to serve as the county attorney going forward. We're looking forward to a good relationship, and that's it.
Well, we're glad to have you. Thank you so much. So, at this time, we're in the section with public comments. If anyone in the audience like to come up and share some comments to the board, you can. If you do want to make comments, please come up to the mic, state your name, and I also know you need the address. Okay. So at this time, if anyone in the audience would like to come up and make any comments, you're welcome to at this time. Apparently we don't have anyone at this time, so the next item is executive session. Mr. Gady, we have a need for an executive session?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that for
litigation and personnel.
All right. So there is a need for executive session to have litigation and personnel. I'd like to put on the floor a motion that we go into executive session. Okay. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay. I just realized I didn't do Pritchard meetings. So we're going in executive session at
No problem.